Welcome, patrons, and thank you for joining us. Happy 2024. We're here, hanging out. It's Rob here with Sid, Darren, and we have a very special guest joining us today. We have, he's the proprietor of the Hat Podcast. We have Lonnie on the show. Thank you, Lonnie. Welcome.
My hat's off to you.
Literally, it is.
Literally.
It certainly is. And on this edition, we're going to be talking about the hot new film scorching theaters nationwide, The Iron Claw.
Now, Rob, when you say it's hot, do you mean because of all the naked men in the movie?
It's kind of hot. But, you know, the tragedy kind of overtakes the hotness in that sense. We'll talk all about it. We're talking about The Iron Claw, the Von Erich story. Sid, Lonnie, and I, we saw it together opening weekend with a pretty healthy crowd on a Thursday.
Yes,
and I feel like a bunch of people, clearly some wrestling fans, because Sid, you mentioned somebody came in with a replica title.
Yeah, hanging off his shoulder.
Do we know it was a replica title?
Lonnie, was it a replica title? Or
it could be an actual champion.
I have no idea. Yeah.
Well, when you bought it, what did they tell you?
I don't watch pro wrestling as much anymore, so I don't even know who the title holders are. It could have been a reigning champion for all I know.
Well, one guy was.
Well, let's go down the list and show us images of all of them from every promotion. We'll tell you if we think that we saw them.
Any of them 5 foot tall, chubby, 45-year-old Puerto Rican men? Because that was who I saw, I believe.
Yeah. Sid, one of them's been holding the title since you were watching wrestling. Roman Reigns. He's got the title for like not really, but
I think he was slightly after my time. I think all I know of Roman Reigns is you guys' disdain for him.
I've come around on him.
Really?
He's a heel now, and he's much better deployed in that capacity.
All right. Still hate John Cena, though, right? Nobody's come around on him.
It's more that I just don't really care for him. I don't think he's a good wrestler or any of
I don't care for him either, but I feel like he's kind of reached this legend status where people are much more forgiving and are like they look back at him with like rose-colored glasses. It's like, no, he sucked. He always sucked. Stop this.
He's in a good TV show at least, so maybe people hate him less because he's done non-wrestling things that were good.
It's a weird dynamic when people talk about them. They're just so happy he gets to do television shows now because he was so good in wrestling for so long, and it's like that's the general consensus I feel around.
Weird.
John Cena. Yeah, it's very weird.
It's because of his charitable endeavors.
Yeah, it's definitely that.
He's made the most wishes.
He's made the most wishes out of like any person.
Is that true?
Yeah, it's pretty.
Lonnie,
actually pretty awesome.
Why do you know that, Lonnie?
Lonnie's number 2.
Why don't you know that?
He's angry at John Cena for taking the top.
I only like crushing wishes. That's the tally that I keep.
You're really good at it.
I feel like the WWE made fetch happen with him. Like they just wanted him to become. They somehow crossed that Rubicon where he's a star now. They made him a star artificially with no charisma whatsoever.
Well, I think he's fine in Hollywood, and I think because he's been so available in Hollywood, it kind of softened his image in wrestling a little bit.
All right. Well, let's talk about the movie. Fuck John Cena.
Well, the movie directed and written by Sean Durkin. Has anybody seen any of Durkin's previous work? I have not.
I've heard of a couple of things, but never saw any of them.
Maybe I've seen it and didn't know he was the director.
Yeah.
The Nest.
No.
Oh wait, let me see what. The Rental, The Nest, Dead Ringers. Katie
is
says
that a remake of the old Dead Ringers?
Yeah, it's like a
TV show of it.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
He directed a few episodes. The movie of his that I'd heard of and heard good things about, but never actually seen myself, was Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene.
No, I didn't see that.
It's from 2011.
I
remember hearing about it.
So
is Elizabeth Olsen in it or something? Is Elizabeth Olsen in that? Whatever. I was just wondering.
Well, this movie tells the
yes.
story of the Von Erich brothers, which I feel like when we watched, I remember Sid and I watched a documentary called Heroes of World Class about the Von Erichs. We were like, this is the most depressing Hollywood movie ever. So when it was announced that this was going to be a movie, I felt like it was a great idea for one. And right away, coming into it, I was warned by people in wrestling who'd seen screeners that it's not it's very fictional, like they very much play with the timelines and what actually happened when. Yeah, a lot of creative license.
And that bothered you, you said.
Well, it's not that it bothered. I mean, I knew it going in, so it tempered my expectations, I would say. But then when I saw the trailer, I was very blown away with how much they nailed the vibe. And in general, that's what I really liked about the movie was the vibe. If we want to each go around and give like a quick short review of our opinion of the movie, this is not a factual documentary, I feel, but as just like a Hollywood movie, I thought it was good, perhaps a bit rushed, but I enjoyed it, and I'm glad it was made. I give it like 3.5 out of 5 stars. Was my thing. So, what would you say?
I guess I'd be closer to 2.5 or 3 stars. It wasn't bad, and everybody in it fully committed, and I'm very impressed by the wrestling that they did and what they had to learn to pull that stuff off. But yeah, when a movie is well over 2 hours long and still feels rushed, like the best thing I could say for it is that it made me want to rewatch the documentaries, because it gives you just enough, but the full story is just so much more interesting than they could.
Yeah, there's still so much.
Yeah. So it was a great effort, but a flawed effort is what I could say for it. Darren, what about you?
I think there's a lot to really like about the movie. I thought I loved Maura Tierney in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I thought she was great. I thought she looks like 2 years younger than Zac Efron. I don't know how. I mean, she's incredible.
A tale of two plastic surgeries.
And you think so? I don't know. I just thought maybe she aged gracefully. But,
No
way.
Well, she definitely has lip fillers, which I don't know if you call that plastic surgery, but
I do.
But there's just a lot of stuff that didn't cohere for me. Like it just doesn't. Like you said, the word "rush" is a perfect word to use for this film. Like they kind of grind and beat to a dead bloody pulp certain things in the film, and other things they just kind of gloss over, and it doesn't have like the emotional resonance when you're supposed to. Like when somebody kills themselves, it's almost like I know the story from watching all these other media, but like someone just watching this, I don't know how you are supposed to identify with Kerry Von Erich killing himself. Like he's in the middle of getting everything he wanted to get in life. He's in the middle of impressing his father, and all of a sudden I go, oh, by the way, he's in a hotel room doing some drugs, and then one scene later he shoots himself. And that's an example of a lot of other things in the film that are like everything negative that you see the impact of, it happens to Kevin. And you see Kevin bear the brunt of all this shit, and he's the one that lives, and everyone around him is dropping like flies. So it's a very uneven movie. Like there's a lot of very good, well-made parts to it, but it's just like it didn't kick me in the balls. I see a lot of people walking out of the theater saying saying that they walked out of the theater, that it really killed them and it was just so gut-wrenching and should win an Oscar. I just really don't see it. But 2.5 to 3 stars sounds right for me.
Yeah, the thing, the people saying that are ones that don't know the story. That's my thing. It's because you don't know the story, hitting you in the face. I feel like there were definitely a lot of people in the theater when we saw it that didn't know, because there was a lot of gasps during like parts that you knew were coming.
I don't
Lonnie,
know, Rob. I'm sorry.
Before
Lonnie goes, just one quick thing to what you just said. I think it's the opposite. I think people that know the story, I think it fills in the gaps of some of where the filmmaking like kind of fucked up the telling of the story. where I felt emotional knowing what was going to happen. And then the portrayal of it is like, that's it, And I think someone who I'm only trying to put myself, because I've known this story for, 25 years, but I feel like trying to take myself out of that and watch it as just as a new person learning this stuff, I'd be like, why are these, as I said before, why are these people killing themselves? The film didn't tell me that. I just happened to know it. And that kind of bothered me.
Sorry. Lonnie, what did you think?
I thought it was really funny.
Lonnie had to go after 45 minutes. That's why. It was an uplifting movie about brotherhood.
Yeah. I guess just like similar to you guys, maybe I liked it probably more than Sid or Darren did. Like, I thought it was a good, solid movie. Rob, when you said that like they nailed the vibe, was the vibe just like death and sadness? Is that kind of what you meant?
No,
What's the vibe?
Really just the first, like, I loved the sportatorium, like the arena set and the wrestling there. And like the casting, most of the casting. We'll talk about it, but
I think they did a good job with it. I think the I knew the story going into it too, and I feel the same way like that Darren said about like, why do I really care about Kerry Von Erich in this movie if you know nothing about him, because he wasn't in it as much as I had expected. Yeah. But it felt more like the story of the non-dead brother. Kevin. It felt like more like everything was just centered around him, and then like this curse, rather than it being the entirety of a family tragedy. You know what I mean? Like, that's what they were going for, and everything else was kind of skippable moments to serve. Then like he survived or whatever.
Yeah. To the point that they even wrote out one brother who had also committed suicide, only because it was in too similar of a manner to another brother, so didn't work for Hollywood. But let's go through the movie.
You kill yourself and you don't even get into a movie about your family.
Yeah,
and the whole thing with that kid was he wasn't even like big enough to be a wrestler. Like, he was a disappointment because he was too small, and now it's like, well, you can't be a wrestler, and you can't even be in this movie either. Sorry,
even your part of the story is too small for the overall story to be included. Like,
brutal.
But also, he tried to wrestle. They tried to get him into wrestling, and he broke his shoulder, and he fucked his body up like 17 times, and they just absorbed that into Mike, who also did that.
Yeah. So the movie starts with this black and white footage of Fritz wrestling back in the day. The movie does not tell you that Fritz von Erich originally was a Nazi character.
Not important to the story. Not important to the story.
Okay, sure, fair enough. And then,
I mean, you joke, but it really isn't.
Much.
Like,
I don't want a 4-hour movie, and I don't know. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, I get that, but.
Just put an armband on him and let him bring a lampshade to the ring. You could have told that story.
And so then you see
Fritz. The belt in our movie theater was really bummed out about that part.
Oh,
about the lack of memorabilia.
Was it he just likes accuracy, or is he a Nazi?
I didn't ask him.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
So then the Fritz and his wife are talking about how they need a house. And then, you see baby Kevin in the back, and then it flash forward to present day, where the first shot is essentially like the back knee on Zac Efron. And then you just see a shot of him in his briefs, just completely bloated with muscle, like unbelievable.
More than Kevin ever was in real life.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, he looks like Kerry Von Erich, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I thought, and I tried to avoid trailers for this and stuff, and articles, and I legitimately thought that Zac Efron was playing Kerry Von Erich. The first time I learned that he was not was in the movie itself.
And so you see, they do the establishment of who Kevin is. You see him working out. You see him waking his brothers up. You see him wrestling in the ring, and he wins. He's actually wrestling against Chavo Guerrero, who's playing the Sheik or Skandar Akbar or something like that. I forget who the character
I think
is,
the
but
Sheik, not Skandar Akbar. Akbar was
yeah,
already
and then
manager by then, I think.
Yeah, and then he wins the Texas Championship, and it's a big celebratory moment. That it's the breakfast the next morning.
Notes? Did you take notes during this movie? How did you remember all this
did.
detail? This is like we saw this a week ago, and I could barely remember any of this. Kudos to you, Rob.
Thank you. I'm actually scanning through a like a cam of the movie just to remind myself. So I am cheating.
Now I'm disappointed in you.
But he went to the trouble of downloading a bootleg. That's something.
Just to get through this. So then we see the breakfast the next morning, and this is where we get the first sign of Fritz being a dipshit dad. I feel like the movie was almost too kind to Fritz. Like he wasn't enough of an asshole.
Well, also
was the real story.
Wasn't the story that he also gave them the pain pills and the steroids that they?
Yes, he was giving them. He was giving them steroids as teenagers.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That wasn't at all.
And that was never in it. So
no, there is a part. I guess it's not like explicitly stated, but there is a part where you see them with like a needle, and he goes backstage and clearly sees it. So it's not that he gave it to them necessarily, but like
he was okay.
You know that he knows that's happening. It's okay with them because they're doing that like right in front of him or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Right, but it's just I understand.
Yeah, it's a pretty big extra step to be like. Not only was he okay with it, but he was the one initiating it. Is like
yeah. I think didn't he also like pull a gun on one of the kids?
Yeah,
like in real life.
Sure.
You know, didn't he? I think it was that he gave a gun to Kevin and said, "Why don't you go ahead and shoot me?" or something like that, and Kevin wouldn't do it or something. If you hate me so much, I might be botching this completely.
Yeah,
it was between Kevin and Fritz, where one of them was going to shoot the other and then like back down. But lots of.
I do know that also not making the movie was Fritz telling Kevin that he's too much of a coward, unlike his brothers, to kill himself. Which always a nice thing to hear from your dad. And so in this breakfast scene, Fritz lays it all out that his favorite is Kerry, followed by Kevin, then David, then Mike, which you never want to hear from your dad that you're their least favorite son.
But he says it could always change.
Yeah, the rankings can change, Rob.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. These aren't finalized rankings, but we don't see Kerry. I don't understand the choice to not have Kerry in like the first 45 minutes of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
We just see what life is like on the farm. It's pretty crowded. There's a shot of David trying to get off in the shower, and Mike needs to use it to take a poop.
Why was that necessary? It's so gratuitous.
I really think the director was just more interested in the vibe of the era and like how it was to live in that house and how it was to be a wrestler and Texas in the 70s and 80s. And like having to talk about people killing themselves was just sort of like this annoying thing that he was. That's why that stuff felt rushed, because he wasn't as interested in covering that aspect.
Good point.
So we're just like, all right, obligatory, like, all right, quick. This guy died. This guy had a
and honestly, after a while, I was like that too. I was like, all right, let's get to Kerry's death. Let's go. This is too sad for me. Let's get.
You're right. I forgot about the famous late 70s Texas aesthetic of jerking off in the shower. It's very specific to the time.
I mean, masturbation and poops. There you go. It's just the dudes in Texas
and Germany.
They do.
Also, there was like that scene where they're all going down the lake, where he picks him up. It's like not quite homoerotic, but a little homoerotic.
It's homo appreciative.
Like that. Exactly. I don't remember that. What happened? What happened at the lake, Rob?
They go and they pick up Mike, and they all just get in their bathing suits, and they're like all touching each other, tubing down the lake.
They're tubing.
They're Jeffrey Tubin. Well, no, not quite. Then you see that Kevin has problems cutting promos. He's not as he's all body, no verbal. And then David, way more charismatic, but they haven't introduced him quite yet. This is where I was like, man, they really nailed the costuming and the set design. Like, I really believed I was there, like in that sense, I thought the movie did an incredible job, and it really got me to like almost, lose disbelief that I'm watching a movie and felt like I was a member of the audience watching this.
The wood paneling on the back of the TV set was a really nice touch.
Yeah.
That was good.
You mentioned the Sportatorium before. So, and the Sportatorium was the Dallas house where the World Class used to have all their shows, but I never saw it from the outside. And you said they nailed it. Was it like a little dump like that, like a shack?
Yes. It was. That's exactly what it looked like. I've seen photos in the documentaries and like in wrestling magazines. That one shot, they had that one crane shot. I thought I was so impressed with it, where you just see like, these college kids just arriving to the arena, getting out of their truck, and then the camera pans past them to like the line trying to get into the tickets. It felt like you were there, like you were going to the show, and I really enjoy that part of it. And Sid, I think you really nailed it. Like, this is what the director wanted to make the movie about, because he spent so much time setting all this up. And then
I think he wanted to make like a Richard Linklater movie about a bunch of Texas bros wrestling.
Yeah.
And then like he had to like cover these facts to get it made, but that's not what he was interested in.
He should have made the Freebirds movie then.
He should have just picked like some wrestlers that don't have any tragedies, like Jake Roberts or something.
Yeah. Good pick.
Then it could have been a fun, just wrestling movie from back in the day. Yeah.
That's the point. You actually, it's hard to pick anyone from that era that didn't have any kind of fucking demon.
And then
the Killer Bees were okay.
Well,
those guys were fine.
Well, one of them didn't share coke with Iron Sheik.
Yeah, that was his worst.
Well, also there was one time that one of them was jacking off in the bathroom while the other one had to go and take a poop.
Oh yeah,
that happened with the Killer Bees.
Open.
Yeah. That's where the bee came from.
Bowel movement.
Oh,
Killer BS.
Or beating off.
Bingo.
Bowel movement and beating off.
And bingo.
And a tag team was born.
Then we see backstage, it's Kevin, David, and who, as hardcore dorky wrestling fans we know, is Bruiser Brody and Gino Hernandez planning out their match. And this is another thing that I kind of was a little inconsistent with the movie, where the movie couldn't decide if it's telling you that the wrestling is coordinated or not, because there's times where they treat what happened in the ring as real. Like later in the movie with the Ric Flair match, Kevin is yelled at for getting disqualified for not letting go of the claw.
No, I don't think that's what happened. I think that he's getting yelled at because he didn't follow the booking that they adhered to, that they planned out in the beginning, and he just snapped and he left the claw on and he got this claw. The referee had to. The referees are trained to, if you forget to kick out of a 3, they count it. But if you break a rule blatantly,
are we shown that that's not what was booked?
I thought it was shown artistically. Yeah, I don't think it was explicitly said.
That.
I thought he's just looking out in the crowd, and I think at one point he sees Mike. Didn't he see Ric Flair as Mike for a second, or something? There's some kind of weird artistic thing going on, and you see that he's snapping, and then he starts putting the claw on really hard, and then it's just clear from the visuals, to me anyway, that he's going off script, and this was not the planned ending. And by the way, I think that was one of the good things the movie did, which was like foreshadowing, because he keeps that claw on, and you see him snapping like facially, and then he does the exact same thing, choking out his father. It's like a matched scene almost perfectly.
So then you see the wrestling match. It's very, very, very. I really like how they shot the wrestling and how they brought the camera in the ring. All of that stuff was very fun, and it felt very authentic. Then we meet the love interest of the movie. she was very, very good. And, she introduces herself to Kevin and basically invites herself on a date with him, where we then get a lot of exposition. Also, we learn slightly before that Fritz is obsessed with the world championship. He wants one of his sons at the moment, Kevin, to win it.
He never got it, and he feels he is owed it.
Yes. And then here we get Kevin revealing that he is not, in fact, the oldest brother. His older brother died being electrocuted by a fence. Poor Jackie Jr.
Fucking Onita.
They never.
Who said it was okay to have a electrified fence match with a 5-year-old?
You gotta send them out early to Japan so the family will get recognition.
He's getting his seasoning.
See, Fritz softened after that. He wouldn't send them to Japan until 17. I told you gotta have an exploding ass match by the time you're 9.
Soft.
That's a deleted scene we're gonna see later. They had a whole sequence with Jack Jr. fighting Onita.
So obviously she's horrified, and then we have some of the best casting in the movie. We see Harley Race, who is the current world's heavyweight champion. And man, did this guy look and sound and dress like Harley Race. It was so believable.
Yes.
I feel like at that point Harley Race was in better shape than that. That guy looked like he got plucked out of bum fights.
It's perfect.
I was so in on this though, and we see the match between the two of them, and the big spot in the match is there is a suplex on the outside. There were no mats; it's just the concrete floor, and Kevin gets the wind knocked out of him.
What were they thinking, by the way? No mats out there, like that's.
That's what I was thinking when I was watching this too. I'm like, this is so stupid. Like,
it's not like mats were invented in the last 30 years,
Yeah, like, what are you trying to prove here? Nothing. Like, this is ridiculous. So then Fritz eats chews Kevin out for not.
Were you about to say he eats Kevin out?
He eats Kevin out.
Another deleted scene.
He gives him a solid rib job.
It's the most tender thing he ever did for one of his sons, if that's true.
Your mind is still stuck in the tubing scene.
I have to say, like, they cut to like graphics and the announcer, and the way they set the mood is perfect. The way they recreated the graphics and everything was very, very fun. It really got me caught up in it. And then
that's
also
the best part of the movie is all the old wrestling sequences. I thought.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And also at the end of this, Harley attacks Kevin, and then David runs in, and we finally hear David on the mic. He takes the mic away from Kevin, who's struggling to put together some words to rile up the crowd, and then David does a great job. Of course, Kevin's a little jealous backstage, but overall, he's proud of his brother.
But here's a key point of what I'm talking about is that this is another scene from the point of view of Kevin, and Kevin's upset, and something negative happened to Kevin, but something positive happened to David. And this keeps happening. And it's all the stuff, shitty things happen to Kevin, but something good happens to somebody else, and he feels left behind. But how are you building the story of all these other people committing suicide or whatever with all these good things happening to them and at the expense of Kevin? It should be the other way around if I didn't know this was a real story.
Yeah. They're just props.
Exactly.
36 minutes into the movie, we finally see Kerry Von Erich doing discus stuff. The wig they get for Jeremy Allen White is excellent.
Yes.
He is nowhere near as big as the real Kerry Von Erich.
Or tan. I don't know.
He's like 2 feet shorter, it seems like. Yeah. He's like shorter than the girlfriend he has for like 90 seconds in that movie. He's so short.
And I just kept seeing the bear guy. Like I'm sorry, like it's too iconic. Like you had to do something to his appearance, like make him tan, which would have been accurate.
Yeah.
And like it just, I couldn't not see him as the bear. And he didn't do a Texas accent except for like 2 seconds, which was horrible. Like he kind of drifted in and out of it. He was easily the weakest casting, except for Ric Flair. But I mean, of the main,
yeah, we're gonna get to that.
We're gonna get to that.
He was the weakest.
And so then they completely make up that he was about to make it to the Olympics, but because America pulled out of the Olympics that year, because of the boycott. Really no, he was not ever set for the Olympics. No.
Okay, I didn't know
he was already wrestling by that point.
I thought the movie just taught me a fact, and I guess they just lied. No. I did love how that was structured, though. That it's like one of the really artful things in this movie, because it's like they didn't use any words. Like you just see Kerry sitting there at the track, and he looks up, and the coach like looks sad over in the distance, and you get the idea that this has been in the news probably for a few weeks. This might happen, so he knows now. He's getting the news. He goes over there, no words are said. He's on the bus going home, no words are said. They only used Jimmy Carter's voice talking, which I thought was fantastic. You see everybody say. The rest of this movie should have learned a lesson from that fucking scene, because it's like talk. Everything is explained at great length. Talk. And that scene was just no talking, just Jimmy Carter on the television, which I thought was great.
Yeah.
And then Fritz asks Kerry to join his brothers and help the territory. And of course, Kerry is flattered. And I really like that immediately the rest of them are like happy for him, this is after, though, we have the football scene, which I love, to your point, Darren, of showing and not telling. They really show how the natural competitiveness between Kerry and Kevin and David really comes out, and how Fritz is totally egging it on, like even in just this friendly game of football. I really, really like this scene and how it established everyone.
And called it back later with the football scene right at the end, where they're just playing cooperatively and not trying to smash the shit out of each other, where Kevin's playing with his children.
Right. And so then that's when Kerry is asked to join, and then we have Rush played on the. Oh no, hold on.
But also wait, just before you get into that, when he asked Kerry to join the wrestling family, and he just immediately says yes, there's a little shot of Kevin kind of like he I think he's happy ultimately, but he has a little twinge of like, what's going on here? And that's this is another Kerry's getting exactly what he wants. He's pleasing dad, he's the golden boy. Right. Where's the build up to the suicide? Like you're not getting a hint of that ever in this.
Yeah.
It's everything's positive.
Well, that's how they use like the curse, right? Like that, everything is the curse is like the crutch of that, I guess. And everything is just like, this is not fair to Kevin. He's put in so much work, and he's like the number one dude. And then like, isn't so good at this other thing. And he loses it. He's moved down the ladder. And so I think you're just supposed to be like, these guys all like love each other, but their dad is like really causing all this strife, by showing all favoritism.
Totally agree. I just think they should have hammered that a lot more. Like the fact that like show a real connection between that. Like when Kerry kills himself, he never says my dad drove me to this in any way, or like that last conversation that they have. Oh, it's all pills. It's like he's on the road and the pills are
and really, I feel like they're not really selling how much drugs they were all doing. Honestly, like they barely mentioned it.
Yeah.
So then they're having a nice little barbecue where Kevin brings his future wife over, and his dad says something oddly misogynistic about how he needs to get this going already. And then Mike says, they're all trying to get Mike to get into wrestling, and Mike says he's playing music and he has this performance, he has this recital that he wants to go to tonight, and the mom is not allowing it. the other brothers just said that they could give him a ride, and she said absolutely not. So surely we see them all sneaking out of the house and going. And I thought this is a really fun scene to again show their camaraderie and show that, oh, look, Mike is actually good at playing guitar, and he's very talented at this thing that's completely different than the rest of his brothers. And I like that they support him, that they're not like, just meatheads to be like, no, bro, you got to wrestle. They like that he's good at this thing.
Well, they share in the misery of the family. Like they don't really find that much joy in wrestling either.
Right.
That's any joy they do take from it is squashed by their father.
Yeah.
Right. And Kerry had something else that just didn't work out.
Yeah, and then you see Kerry just doing like handstands and getting very, very drunk. This is the only instance where they suggest that Kerry might be a little too much of a party animal. I feel like this was the only moment.
And it's a throwaway line. It's just Kevin going, oh, he could really put it away. Anyway. And
right.
Yeah.
Then we see Kevin loses his virginity. This big local wrestling star who's never been deflowered by a woman until now.
What a way to put it.
Sadly, no Zac Efron peen though. Unfortunately,
were you expecting full frontal?
If you want an Oscar, bro,
yeah, exactly.
Whip it out.
And then now this is when Rush gets played, and we see like the workout montage, and then
wait, what about the brothers' song? Like the brothers' good song, like he was, like that was fun. That part when you like,
I just mentioned that
it was actually like a pretty enjoyable song. I thought.
Yeah, I agree.
It was cool.
Was that a real song that he's covering, or was that an original for the movie?
That was a real Mike Von Erich song.
Really?
That was his actual song.
Could be. Can't tell if that's a joke. It could have been.
Yeah, because they play it again at the end of the movie, but it's like a full band. So I don't know if the character's just covering that song that we hear at the end, or if at the end a real band like got together to record his song,
or if it's just made up too. Could be either one.
Yep.
So then we hear Rush playing, and we see the three brothers entering the arena in their very flashy jackets, and then in the ring already are the fabulous Freebirds. Yeah. And again, this is something where if you're a wrestling fan, this is for you, and if you're not, it's just a cool montage, I guess.
Could be anybody.
But this was so cool, and we just see all of them just training and getting really good and doing cool moves in the ring, and you see the actors doing very acrobatic wrestling moves. It was very impressive. This wasn't stunt doubles. It's the actual actors doing these cool things. And
I wanted to say that the Bam Bam Gordy might have been the best cast wrestler in there.
Oh, so good. With that wig.
It was him de-aged somehow. I mean, that was incredible.
Really, really cool.
So were those actors though, or were they wrestlers?
Yes.
Who, like anybody?
I think they were all actors. I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't.
So they just had a bunch of actors wrestling, like not one wrestler in the match. Wow, that's wild.
Yeah, Chavo Guerrero was the stunt coordinator. And so then the montage continues. You see them on the road. You see them at these rodeos and halls, and get bleeding and making money and getting very drunk. And then you see that Kevin moves into an apartment with his wife. Kerry gets a motorcycle, and you're right, Darren. There's nothing to tell you in this movie why Kerry is depressed.
Right, yeah. He's getting everything he fucking wants.
Yeah.
In fact, when he kills himself later, I'll leave that for when we get there.
So then we have a scene where David is being groomed to do the claw properly, and Fritz is like, "You got to do it harder. And you really see that David is the star of the show, and that he's the one that's going to be getting the world title shot. And
he
to
moved
Darren's
up the
point,
ranking.
Yes, to Darren's point, obviously Kevin is very very hurt by this. Oh, earlier in the movie when Kevin is with his wife, she asks, like, what does it matter if you're world champion? I feel like they didn't do a good job of really explaining what he meant, of just like, oh, like, well, it might be scripted, but it really means you're the best or something like that. Like they didn't really explain his. Yeah.
I'm
with Rob on that one. I liked what the scene was trying to do, for sure. I also struggled with whether him being on a first date would have admitted that. In wrestling.
Yeah.
Or maybe he just cracked because he liked her so much and he broke the veil, but I feel like people were so protective of that. He might have been married to her for 3 years and not told her that it was fake.
If his dad found out he told her on the first date, he might have shot him himself.
For real. He David Schultz on him.
I think there was really good chemistry between the three brothers. Like I really started believing that like they were the Von Erichs, like
they're very good actors.
Yeah, the chemistry definitely worked there. And so yeah, we see the scene where David is told that he's getting the world title shot. Kevin is heartbroken. Kerry is immediately super happy for his brother. And then we immediately cut to the wedding. And at the wedding, we see in the bathroom that Kevin and David are having a moment where David is puking his intestines out. Right. And I knew what was coming already. And I was like, oh no, here we go.
And Mike needs to take a shit and he needs to go into the toilet. Oh, no.
And then, much like in real life, we don't see David dying. We just hear about it because that's what happened. Was the number 2 in charge under Fritz Von Erich gets a call from Japan. David Von Erich dead was the call, and then he had to go tell Fritz, and so Fritz tells Kevin, and then they, I feel like this is now when the movie starts rushing. Even though there's still an hour in the movie, they're really like plowing through this, and they're not even able to. Kevin reads a postcard from David, very sad. They're not even able to process their grief when Fritz comes in and says at the Parade of Champions, there's going to be a World Championship match, and we have to just decide who's going to win it, and they say they're going to flip a coin. This never happened, I don't think. I think it was always supposed to be Kerry.
He actually says who's going to take David's place, which was very fucked up.
Yeah.
Oh yes, exactly. That's right. Absolute psycho, and you see that apparently, in the movie, the mom did not go to the show, which is not true because she was there, because that was like the big closing shot was Kerry getting a hug from his parents with the world title. But we see her and Mike are at home. They didn't go and watch Kerry win the big title. And then this is the first sign we see of Kerry being depressed, was when he has the title. The belt is just finally in their home. Kerry's drinking. He's like, you hold on to it. I'm going to go for a ride.
Yeah,
I can't come down. I'm having trouble coming down from the high of the match.
Yeah.
There's no mention that he's also high from other things.
Right.
and then we just see him on a bike, and then there's the shot of him walking, and then eventually he has a stump. And in the movie theater there was a big gasp.
Yeah.
When this happened.
The way they did that though was really great. I said this after we watched, but I think that was probably like my favorite part, was in how they revealed that, of just like him walking into the kitchen. It was just the cool. And I had myself forgotten that was the thing, so I didn't gasp because I'm an adult, but I did. I was like surprised for a second.
No, it also didn't happen in real life. It happened way later, right?
Yeah, it happened. Yeah.
Is that true though?
Yeah.
When it was right before he went to WWE, I think it happened.
Yeah.
Well, was he already in WWE? I mean,
I think it was right before. That's why he didn't want to tell anyone, because he was afraid he was going to lose his contract.
Yeah. That's amazing that he had matches with one fucking foot.
It's insane. I mean, really, like that whole montage of him training, like that was so hard to watch. That was very fascinating.
That was pretty
Like,
effective.
again, yeah, I feel like this is why this could have been HBO 10-episode miniseries. You know, there could have been that's like a 3-episode arc. This whole story, you know, like that they squeezed into 20 minutes.
And that whole thing where he's training to learn how to wrestle with one leg is the first time that you see him on a downslope, really. And it's like 10 minutes before he kills himself, though.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just not rock solid enough at all.
You see, Kevin's son is born, and he wants to make sure he needs the birth certificate changed to make sure it's not Von Erich, it's Atkinson, because he doesn't want the curse. When in reality, none of them legally went by Von Erich; they all went by Atkinson. This is just Hollywood retelling.
That's fine. I didn't have a problem.
Yeah, that was okay. And,
again, I think it's just meant to like get across how much that was in their head. Right, like this whole curse thing, like that. If anything was hammered home, it was really that, like especially for the Kevin character of this like curse.
And the curse is really just being the son of Fritz, who's fucking.
Yeah, the curse is Fritz. So immediately
but like it went further than that, right? Like it wasn't there. There was other tragedies in the family before that too. So I think that it's I don't know.
I agree, but what's infecting all of their lives is Fritz. Like they're attributing it to these series of accidents that happened before. To avoid pinning it on their father.
Then we see Mike in the ring, and he has a freak. He falls incorrectly, has a freak shoulder accident, and then we learn he got toxic shock, which really is because he started flying too quickly after his accident. Because his dad tried to rush him back into wrestling. And then we see
flying. What do you mean flying?
Like on an
in
airplane?
Going on an airplane.
Well, because in the movie he has it while they're operating on the shoulder, so it seems like it's immediately after the injury.
But it's not.
But that's not what
another way of softening Fritz up.
Exactly. Yeah, and then we see the press conference.
Like, wasn't he in a coma in the movie? They're like he's in a coma or something. Right? Yeah. So it was
I mean,
it all seemed like medical stuff.
Yeah, 100%. If you just change that one line, saying that wouldn't even lengthen the movie at all. You could have just pinned that another thing on Fritz, and it would have made it darker. Even I think would have been much better. Like that's another thing this movie suffers from is not making Fritz enough of an asshole, and he's a huge asshole in the movie.
Do you think that's like Kevin, like just wanting to like protect his dad after all the stuff that's been said about him?
Well,
like encouraging.
I don't think he had. I don't think he had much say in what's in the movie. No.
Did he respond to the movie at all?
He thinks that. I mean, he says it's not realistic, but he's happy that people are learning about their story, something like that. But he's totally fine. He's gone to the premieres. He's totally cool with the movie.
Did he wear shoes?
He did wear shoes. Yes.
Fucking selling.
Then we see the press conference that they recreate. So well done. So hard to watch. I remember watching footage of the real one, and it was hard to watch. And this was just as bad. And just like how Mike was like, "Yeah, I'll be back in the ring soon." It's like, bruh, you're not gonna be back. You're not gonna be back. Then we see that's when we see the footage of Kevin helping Kerry train and telling him he doesn't need to do this, but then sees Kerry wants to do it, and then so he's encouraging him. And then we see the scene where Kevin finds Mike dead, which is great. And then a very poignant scene, I think, with Kevin's wife and the mom, where she couldn't bring herself to put on the same dress she wore to David's funeral because she was saying that she didn't want people to criticize her for wearing the same thing. When obviously that wasn't the issue. It was just having to bury a second son was very difficult for her.
But it's also one of the most self-centered thing you could possibly say at that moment. It's like, who the fuck is looking at you at a funeral? Like, no offense, no one's looking at your dress. Like, it just kind of underscores how self-centered the parents are. It's all about image, the image of them through their kids.
Well, she's also just self-centered in that she let Fritz run roughshod over that family, and she sort of was like barely a participant.
Yep.
In what
they
the
both
upbringing
were
of
like
these kids.
They both were telling the brothers that they had to work things out themselves.
Yeah.
Right. Like that happens a couple times in the movie where it's like, all right, whatever. You guys have to figure that out. You do that. Like they didn't want to do the parenting. They had demands about wrestling and the wrestling business and like God, I guess, for I don't know.
Yeah.
Then
She's
we
very
finally
much
have
a passenger in this family.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
We finally have the Ric Flair scene, which
Oh my God.
the most widely panned moment in the movie. Like this almost went viral how bad it was. I'm not sure what the hell this actor was doing. There were 3-second flashes where it was almost Ric Flair, but overall, very, very poor presentation.
It was like,
unbelievably bad.
you know how when they select a jury and they like, have you ever heard of O.J. Simpson? And when they haven't, they have heard of him, they just reject him outright. And like, they found somebody who never heard of Ric Flair.
Who wanted to bring his own interpretation to it.
And you're right. And then told him what Ric Flair was about and do that. And we're going to have blonde hair and all that. Do that. And that's what they did.
It really
it was unbelievably bad.
Why did it need to be in the movie at all is my question. Like, it's not a movie about Ric Flair. Nobody's going to this movie waiting for the Ric Flair scene to save the movie. Like, you could have just not had that scene and just given us 5 extra minutes of stuff about the family, which is what the movie is about.
I think it's back to what Rob said, which was that the director was interested in making a snapshot of this time and collecting all these fan service moments. Like for us, like, oh, there's the Freebirds and there's this and there's Ric Flair. And that would have been, I think it would have greatly added to the movie if it didn't fucking suck so badly.
I'm not so sure about the like people weren't like knew to look for that, because I remember when the movie was like cast with the Von Erich brothers, and then like the next news item I saw was like Ric Flair was gonna, like someone was gonna play Ric Flair in the movie. Like I remember seeing stuff about that. So like I knew it was gonna happen at some point in the movie, but it's like, so I do think it was a thing. I think if it went well, could have been really fun.
Agreed.
But it was so fucking bad.
Yeah.
It was just like so off. And Rob saying that like these actors seemed like they were the Von Erichs or whatever, and like you felt like you were there or whatever. Like this felt like I was watching something that was completely disconnected from everything else
sort of,
I was previously watching.
That's sort of what I'm trying to get at, is like, if it went well, it could have been really good. But once they filmed it, like, how could they not see that, you know what? We tried, didn't work.
That I don't know.
Just scrap that.
Or recast that. He's not in a room with anybody. Just call post-production. Get someone else to just do a Ric Flair promo.
Fucking get Ric Flair. They had the original El Hijo del Santo in Cassandra. Yeah, exactly.
77-year-old Ric Flair would have been better and less ridiculous in that scene.
So much better. So I mean, he just got everything so wrong, and that part seemed so long too.
Yes, I agree.
Like it took forever.
He got the woo wrong. That's like the easiest thing.
Exactly. The woo. That's just wrong. That. Like,
I feel like if they had someone play Hulk Hogan and he went like, this or something like that, like it would be like, what? What are you doing?
It very much took me out of the movie.
We went to see it at Alamo Drafthouse. So in the half hour before the movie was officially starting, they were literally playing old Ric Flair promos, like the actual Ric Flair. Cool. And so it made it even more of a glaring problem for us because we saw the real thing. You can't give us the real thing
right there. Yeah,
I saw this. By the way, I was going to talk about this at the end, and like the postmortem. That's a bad word to use for this.
Postmortem.
We need a few of those.
But I saw it at the Nighthawk, and they had Von Erich footage. They had like 3 different matches that played. They had promos. They had like a montage of Kerry Von Erich morphing into a tiger, playing Eye of the Tiger.
Wow.
And like all this old footage from the 80s and interspersed with like 80s commercials. It was like you're watching a world-class sort of broadcast with old commercials in the middle.
This reminds me, Darren, you would have loved it. At Alamo, one of the things in the pre-movie package was the RASSLIN song.
Wow.
They played that video.
Oh, that's great.
It was amazing.
I love that. And he mentions the Von Erichs like prominently in that song. Lonnie, you know this song?
I mentioned it in the moment.
Sid explained it in the moment. Yeah, but no, I didn't know of it. Otherwise, I think. Go ahead.
They were trying to like compete with rock and wrestling, but doing the southern version of it, like the Texas version, because this is when WrestleMania was happening. So this old man with an afro, like old white dude, like with thick ass Coke bottle glasses and a porn mustache, singing about RASSLIN. That's wrestling.
Yeah, we saw it. Could be no grab them cakes, no matter what they do.
Yeah, love grab them cakes.
So
is that about molesting women's asses in public or something? Like, what is? I never really thought out grab.
Do you even have to ask? Of course,
I don't know. I never thought about it. I thought he was hungry when I was a kid.
Grab them cakes.
I really thought it was about him. He's a hefty guy. I thought it was about him.
I can go for some arepas right about now, honestly.
So with the Ric Flair part, like when we were watching it, I thought like maybe they're gonna have some other like well-known wrestlers that are gonna be played by some actor. And then when we like wouldn't it be cool if there was like Dusty Rhodes was in the movie and someone was playing Dusty Rhodes like for whatever reason? And then when we saw the Ric Flair thing, I was like, man, I hope they don't do that anymore. I think that the time is over for that because this is so bad.
They should have got how about Will Ferrell doing his Eastbound and Down character?
Yeah, sure.
Anything.
So then we see business is down. Kerry is now in WWF, and we get to Christmas. Kerry is late. He arrives. He's in a sour mood. And
wait. Do we see him win like the Intercontinental title through like the TV, right?
Yeah,
like
SummerSlam's
on or something.
And the camera angle.
They're watching it. They're like, oh, great, he won. Like they didn't know it was going to happen.
Yeah, so it's Kevin and his dad. Kevin is telling the dad that business is down as they're watching Kerry win the title at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
And
I thought that was a little weird that they just really yada all of the WWF.
Yeah, I agree.
For Kerry Von Erich, like show us that in the ring. Show us just a little bit more about that. But it's like they're just watching SummerSlam on TV against Mr. Perfect or something.
That was another good
that part wasn't great.
Fritz being an asshole moment related to that. Like he goes, "What about your ex-tag team partner Hellwig?" Their little fan service thing. Did you hear that? Ultimate
yeah. Right. That was in the Christmas when he.
That's when he comes home for Christmas. Yeah.
But it's also like that guy's not better than you. He's a piece of shit. When are you gonna get your spot? It's like reinforcing that.
Yeah.
It's like good double,
and so
double meaning.
Kerry gives Fritz the gun that Kerry will eventually kill himself with, and then we get the call between Kerry and Kevin is trying to be like, bro, please don't do it. Come on.
At Christmas, though, Kerry definitely seems like he's on drugs.
Yes.
Right. Like,
yes.
I think he's there and he's like super fucked up. Like I do think that was the other part where it's like it's clear that he's got some kind of alcohol drug problem.
And I think it could have been clearer, but yes, I do agree that.
But like he's like manic and he's like he arrives and things are weird. Like it definitely seems that way. They're like, "Who's this?" You know, like because it seemed like he didn't tell them he was bringing that broad with him or whatever. So, yeah.
It's also the first 3 seconds of the movie where Fritz is like being kind of chill, and he starts a fight with Fritz. You know, like I don't remember what it even was about, but he's like, "All right." Oh, it was about he wanted him to shoot the gun off.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, knowing your father, do you ever want him to shoot a gun off? Like, you never know who he's pointing the fucking gun at. And secondly, like, he's being calm. Leave him the fuck alone. It's the first time he's ever done that in your life.
Well, I think that was more of a demonstration of like how messed up in that moment Kerry Von Erich was. He's on drugs. He's something. He can't connect to like the family or reality.
But my issue is that it all is packed into one whirlwind. Like they're just throwing me a 95-mile-an-hour fastball in like one or two scenes rather than it should have been, I feel like, spread across the movie.
Mm-hmm. Right. Because you're like, oh, he got some success. and then you see him, and you're like, wait, I think something's wrong, something's bad, and then boom, he's just like dead 2 minutes later.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
It is very fast. Though everything with Kerry Von Erich is really fast. Maybe because Kevin really didn't give a fuck about him, and this is his movie. Like maybe that's the truth.
It's through the eyes of Kevin.
Kevin's the curse.
That's it. That's why he lived. He didn't experience. He was a carrier.
And really, it's like, did these brothers kill themselves, or is that what Kevin wants us to think?
Yeah, he keeps finding the bodies. Who knows what he did?
Yeah,
He's
like Murder She Wrote. Not.
Where was he?
Well, then we see, after the phone call of the panicked phone call that Carrie gives Kevin, we see Kevin driving to the estate and seeing Carrie's car with the driver's door open and trying to find.
Oh, wait.
Carrie.
Can I pause you for a second, Rob? Sorry. Is just because of what we were talking about, I just wanted to check. Is Kevin Von Erich one of your Patreon subscribers? Because then I might be like a little worried about where I was really just reacting to the film, Kevin Von Erich, just in case you are a Patreon subscriber. And that's all. It's just a fun conversation. I don't actually think you murdered your brothers.
Okay. Coach, now we get
joke here. It's a comedy show.
Okay. So Kevin,
he knows our whole ethos.
I really just wanted to make sure. I don't want him knocking on. I don't need that curse hanging over me. You know what I mean?
You should tell him in the Discord. He's in there a lot.
Okay.
So
I don't know what that is. I'll check it out.
Kevin is very upset. Immediately runs into Fritz and has no choice but to spear Fritz and start choking him and get out all of his aggression. And at this point, someone in our theater yelled, "Yeah, kill him!"
That's right.
And then they do this little artistic moment where Kevin carries Carrie onto the dining room table, which is like you're getting blood on the dining room table.
Oh, so much blood on that table.
And we see what I imagine is Kevin's thoughts in a scene that is melodramatic, but honestly really worked for me, which was Carrie tubing down the old river, and there are Mike and David just waiting for him, and they welcome him.
And the
up
little
to
the older brother who died.
Well, yes. Well, I was getting to it, and they welcome him up to the pier, and then they say, "Wait, there's someone else we want you to meet," and they're like, "Oh, you must be our older brother, Jack." And I thought it was very touching in the corniest of ways. But
not at all. I couldn't stand that scene. I was just like,
really
rolling my eyes through that.
You were hoping that Onita had the entire lake explode.
They're actually in hell. Suicide is against Jesus. Twist. They're on the river Styx. No, and I'm not against that type of like imagery or like departing from a real serious like theatrical movie and having one scene. Just the way it was done, I thought
a little heavy-handed,
ridiculously.
Yeah.
sad.
Oh, absolutely. And
I guess is the movie telling us that that's Kevin imagining that. I hope at least it's not like
that's how I read it. I saw it as like he's like, okay, well, at least they're all there now together. Yeah. Without our terrible father, and even like the dead kid I didn't meet is there or whatever, and that's I like that part. Maybe was a little hokey, but it was fine. I thought that,
but not Chris. Chris is not there. He doesn't even exist.
Yeah, Chris isn't.
I don't even know who Chris is. It would have been crazy if just Ric Flair showed up, like, Ric Flair.
Doing the bad woo forever. That's more evidence that they're in hell. We gotta watch this bad Ric Flair impression forever.
Then we see Kevin selling the company to Jerry Jarrett and watching his kids play, and then he just bursts out crying, very sad. And then he says the line that Kevin has said before in documentaries, which always just cut me to my core, which is, I used to have 4 brothers, and now I'm not even a brother. And then one of his kids said the sweetest things, which was, "We'll be your brothers." And it's like, hey, idiot, that's your dad. That's not how that works. No. No, I thought that was a very.
What do you want to be dead? You don't want to be his brother. You don't want to be. Yeah.
Fritz showed up. What kind of idiots you're raising here that don't even know what a brother is? He put the claw on him. What do you got, an IQ of 45?
Gave the twins a double noggin knocker.
Come here, you stupid imbeciles. He's your father, God damn it. I think you'd be good on a Japan tour. Come here. You're getting big.
Put a fucking needle in their lunchbox.
It can't hurt you. I talked to a doctor.
It was Dr. Death, but yeah.
I'm dying at the image of the claw. Him putting the claw on his grandkids.
Come here, you.
Cover the whole face.
You know, I gotta be honest there. You took that claw like a champ, unlike your dad over there.
Bitch.
What a loser.
Do we see him again and he's like mad that he sold the company? I can't remember.
It's
Don't we,
mentioned.
like, is that the...
That was in the that was when they were watching Kerry win the title that he said that he would be very upset. He didn't just give him the company so he could sell it.
Got
but
it.
Once Kerry died. Go ahead.
Jerry Jarrett says that Fritz came to his ranch to try to prevent him from...
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think Zac Efron's performance was like Academy Award. It was a good performance, but it wasn't like that notable where it's like, oh, he has to be like when I saw The Wrestler, I was like, Mickey Rourke has to be nominated. Like that was a performance. This, not so much.
And I wrote down in my notes, yes, Lana took notes. What did Zac
First
Efron...
time ever. Congrats.
Did Zac Efron have something done to his face? I felt like is that just makeup to make him look like...
He had like some kind of accident and had to have like...
Yeah, he had a horrible... Yes, exactly. He had a horrible...
For the movie, he had an accident?
No. Like a few years ago, before Baywatch.
It was a parasailing accident, and he had to have all this metal put into his face.
Like Brutus.
That's his next role.
Okay. No, I didn't know that. So, okay.
Yeah. Any other notes, Darren?
I was going to wait till we were doing the post-mortem.
Well, here we are.
The movie's over. Well, we have to do the post-credit scene.
Oh, shit.
Samuel L. Jackson shows up at the dead guy lake and says, no, you guys can't be dead yet. Come back.
Yeah, we're starting the Dead Wrestler cinematic universe.
Yeah.
So what else?
I'm looking through
Go,
here.
Darren.
Well, you guys have to contribute too. I actually mentioned in the course of just talking about everything I wrote down. I wrote down the awful Ric Flair, the Ultimate Warrior reference. We talked about that. Mm-hmm. The callback to the Iron Claw and then he's choking Fritz, and that they deleted Chris Von Erich. How they told the story of the Olympic boycott, and how Harley Race looks like he's from bum fights. Zac Efron having facial surgery. I asked about Perry Saturn. This is all have been worked into the thing. Oh, the one thing I didn't mention was that the guy playing Fritz reminded me of Frank Langella.
I could sort of see that.
He would have been.
But then, do you have like a notebook on the table?
No, under
when you're watching the movie.
Because there's no light, but under the table they have a light, so you can order your French fries or nachos or whatever.
What did you have?
I brought my own food and I made sure to tip the waitress very, very handsomely because I told her I was not going to be ordering anything, and she was very appreciative.
They let you bring your own food?
No, I did it in the dark, but I didn't tell her that part. I just said I wasn't going to order anything. But
you still tipped her.
Yeah, because
that's nice.
Because that's how they make money. So I don't want to be a cheapskate.
Did you get a drink?
I didn't feel like it. I had my bottle. They let me. She had my bottle on the table. She didn't care.
Well. Good to know.
So what were you eating and drinking though? You have to.
I had I had two empanadas left over from 3 empanadas that I had bought previously, and I had my popcorn, which I brought in.
You brought your own popcorn.
I happened to have it in my bag. I didn't consciously bring popcorn to the movie.
Was it like microwave popcorn that you popped at home, or like store bought?
No.
Like
Indiana
a bag
movie theater butter flavored popcorn.
Nice.
Okay,
that's interesting.
Yeah, we went to the empanada place right before. I didn't feel like spending $18 on nachos just because it's there. So
reasonable. So I was at Nighthawk the other day, and I did have the nachos with queso.
Oh, was it good?
It was all right.
I don't doubt it's good. It's just like if I just ate, I feel like I'm eating again just to do it because I'm here at a movie theater.
Sid got the nachos, but he actually didn't tip. So he did the reverse of what you did.
Fuck you, Sid.
Yeah. So he did that because you were generous. Yeah, exactly. So why bother?
Which one did you go to? He knew that. By the way, Lonnie, he knew that before. He went before me, and still knew he was going to be balancing me out, even though I hadn't done it yet.
Well, no, when I went to Nighthawk, it was to see something else after.
Yeah, this was when he saw a different movie, not the Carrie Von Erich movie.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
No, I did also I got the pretzel at Alamo, and some of Lonnie's popcorn.
You went to Williamsburg?
You did not get a cookie shake, though.
No, me and Rob both wanted the cookie milkshake, and they did not have it.
Oh, what kind of place are they running here?
Yeah, luckily I brought my own cookie shake. It just happened to be in my bag,
and didn't give Sid any.
Yep.
You made me watch him drink it down.
Yep.
Just
Darren,
like Fritz
thank
Von
you for
Erich.
that cookie shake. I appreciate you giving that to me 3 days before.
I knew in advance that this was going to happen. They were going to run out of cookie shakes.
Yep, exactly.
Premeditated.
Always paying it forward.
In fact, I jammed the cookie shake machine just so that would happen.
God damn it.
I
took inspiration from Fritz Von Erich before I had even seen the movie. 2 steps ahead. You're getting too soft eating them cookie shakes.
You put the cookie nozzle into a claw. You smashed it.
I always thought that claw was stupid for the high flyers. What are you using a fucking claw submission for? It doesn't work.
It's a rest hold. It's a nice come down.
Yeah, but that's their finisher, though.
Yeah. So they could, Well, see, Carrie didn't come down from that one match, and you see what happened.
Yep.
He needs that.
He even used the claw in WWF, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
And then he had the
for a little bit. Then he did the discus punch.
Yeah.
The claw set up.
He was
the
almost
punch.
in the Olympics.
Right. Any final thoughts before we wrap this some bitch up?
How do you think that Fritz Von Erich would rank the three of you?
I have to think
we would all be tied for third.
No, Rob has the size. He would see you as a potential wrestler, I think, and he would think you would be one. I don't know. Between me and Sid, I can't say.
I think I'd be last. I'm like the one that they wrote out of the movie. I'm not even.
You're Chris.
Athletic enough to get in the ring at all.
You just have asthma in the corner.
I will say, between this movie and Cassandro, has 2023 been the best year ever for wrestling in mainstream media, in movies?
That there's 2 of them.
They're both critically
last
acclaimed.
years ago.
I feel like the wrestler, whatever year that was, should just win just having that movie in it. That's the
best movie. But that's one movie. This is 2 in the same year.
But that's better than either of those movies, though.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
like
but still, it's pretty impressive that we had both of these movies in the same year. That
Agreed.
Art house companies are still looking to wrestling as fodder for movies. Because The Wrestler was, just scripted thing. It wasn't based on a true story. Right. These 2 are.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's.
Wouldn't the best year be whatever year No Holds Barred came out?
Oh yeah, that's also
another classic.
I think that I'm making myself laugh thinking of the guy saying something about Dookie. There's one scene where
I should put that in.
Watch a lot of that movie at some point.
Oh, I read it.
I love
it's
that
so
movie.
bad.
I loved it as a kid, man. I loved it so
much.
much.
Me
it's
too.
Really, really bad. That's
Did
so
you
funny.
Did you buy into Zeus coming to life and being
Yes!
in SummerSlam?
I was,
Yeah.
yeah. In hindsight, it
were
was a
you all
fucking
then?
stupid
He's
fucking
scary
idea,
looking.
but
Rob, you were
Yeah.
like
I was
8.
on board.
Sid was like, no, you were like 3.
No, younger.
Sid was like 8.
No, this was WrestleMania. I was 5. It was
88.
This
after
was like
WrestleMania 5.
88.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
5.
Yeah, I was like 8 or 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was the early teenager. I was
All right, folks.
I liked Hulk Hogan still, but I was kind of getting over it.
Yeah.
I'm sure that didn't help.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for hanging out. Lonnie, thank you for making the time.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the time away from hanging out with your family to hang out with your wrestling family.
No. Uh-oh. My wrestling family. This could only end poorly.
Yes.
Yep.
All right.
Bye, guys.
All right, man.